Welcome to Quack&Co, the board game channel where every video is 10 minutes or less guaranteed, and today we're asking the question, should you play Destinies by Lucky Duck Games? In this video I'm going to give you a brief overview of the game, talk about 3 reasons why you should in fact play it, and then talk about 3 reasons why you certainly should not. What is Destinies? Destinies is going to be a board game app hybrid where you're going to be using some sort of tablet or phone device to run the core elements of the story. It's a narrative exploration, and every single scenario or every single dive into it is going to have different characters, different objectives, and different story elements and beats that you'll unravel and unveil. Different story elements and beats that you'll reveal or unravel throughout the course of play. I'll figure out that phrase that I'm looking for somewhere. My brain and my tongue just are not connecting right now, but that doesn't matter because, again, we only have 10 minutes. In this video, in this game, holy cow. Reset, focus in. We're doing an overview of Destinies. Throughout the course of the game, you're going to be taking your turns, moving various different stat blocks up and down in your personal character sheet, gathering items, resolving story events, and taking decisions here on the main map. The app itself will interact with both characters, whoever's playing throughout the course of play, having different story, cards flip, things get replaced, and different on-game... Okay. I think I'm trying to go too quick because I'm just not sure. I'm not sure why I'm bumbling over this. The app is going to interact with you, the players, throughout different stages of the gameplay by flipping cards, adding new story moments and events, and elements that you can interact with there on the game board. The core part of the gameplay is going to be you driving towards your end goal, or your eventual destiny, hence the name of the game. This is a highly thematic and story-driven game with a lot of open-world adventure and a ton of both player interaction and game interaction with the players. One of the coolest things about Destinies is that the game is going to evolve with the players as you play, meaning decisions you make will affect both people across the board. Now, let's get to the good, the bad, the bit ugly, and the beautiful. Let's talk about 3 reasons why you should be playing Destinies. Well, first and foremost, it is storytelling bliss. Some of the best storytelling I've experienced in a board game, period. And this is overt. It's direct. It's not thematic overtures that you have to read into throughout the course of play. Instead, Destinies here is focusing in on the story. It has amazing writing, great scripting, great character development. You're playing as your own personal kind of character throughout the course of play with your own personal narrative, and you interact with the world in a unique way. This game really does a fantastic job at tying down the story and giving you a brand new world to invest in and explore every single time you play. And it's something that I'd love to go back through and do again, especially as a solo player. Following up, this is a open world adventure game. And if you like open world games, this is going to be sort of the epitome of one version of that. I already mentioned how great it is at storytelling, but along with that, you can really do and go just about anywhere. The app is going to interact and react to your decisions and other players' decisions. So the board will evolve, characters will come and go, quests will be resolved that you were trying to do by other players throughout the course of play, or time will run out in certain instances. This feels like a living and open world with the app interacting with the players and the players interacting back with the app and the game state. And third and finally, let's talk about the app. Usually apps are a thing that I don't want to deal with when it comes to a board game, but in Destinies, Lucky Duck has one of the best, most refined apps I have came across. You start the game without any of this set up, and you just hit play. You grab your character board, select what character card you want, and it scripts everything, step by step for every scenario you're playing, telling you the cards to pull, what items to start with, and what benefits you're going to have here on the table. This game is super easy to get into, very easy to play, and the app is always going to be there guiding you, holding your hand, and reinforcing just how good the gameplay experience is and can be. It also makes it really easy for modifications, fixes, rules errors, and other elements to be added into Destinies post-haste. Lucky Duck is supporting this game and supporting a variety of other app-based games, and so here, in Destinies, you're going to find that the narratives still evolve, that text is added, things are fixed through playtesting, and the most important thing, everything you have can be easily integrated to a brand new story down the road, meaning at times you won't even need a brand new expansion to dive back into the storytelling here in front of us. So, let's talk about the bad. The 3 reasons why you should not be playing Destinies. And first and foremost is going to be the multiplayer balance. For me, this is a solo game that I play if I only want to reveal the story. And sometimes that's all I want to do. Sit down, relax, solve some puzzles, do a riddle here on the table, and watch as the stories still that word that I can't find. Watch as the story is resolved in front of me. That being said, I don't think this is the best solo game when it comes to mechanics and strategy and kind of depth of play. I really like Destinies at 2-player. You usually have a nice balance of either both of you going for the same objective or both of you going for 2 different objectives, impacting the world but not necessarily stepping on each other's toes. The issue comes when you're playing Destinies 3-player. Now, this is not something that would keep me from playing it 3-player, but it is a note that you should be aware of. If you're playing it 3-player, every character that you're playing as has a good and bad objective, and your 3 characters are going to share one with each other character, meaning that whoever is resolving to go after a quest, there's a strong likelihood that 2 characters will be going after the same quest, and one will be left to their own mechanics. Now, the game does try to balance that, giving you lots of opportunities to work through the story and many, many different solutions to find. However, if someone's going for your quest and you don't change up your pathway or they kind of cut you off midstream towards the middle of the game, that could be enough for your gameplay to come to an end. And the end of this, while fantastic thematically and storytelling-wise, is sometimes a slight crescendo and a woo for the players that don't make it to the end. They don't get to see the end of their narrative, and it usually resolves with them doing something subpar or maybe not the best. They fail at their task, which is thematic but not always fun when it comes to the game state. And at 3 players, you find that 2 players are having a subpar ending, and sometimes, if not more often than not, it feels like one of those players kind of got cut off at the hind legs because they were going for a quest that another player was pursuing as well. Let's talk about the depth of the mechanics here. This is another reason why you might not want to pick up Destinies. It is not a mechanically deep game. In fact, a lot of what you're doing is balancing the resources you have of experience, energy, and dice. You're going to be rolling those. You're going to be using items, which can be the most powerful and interesting part of the game when it comes to a mechanic decision, but you'll be gaining those by reading the clues, getting through hints, and solving whatever puzzles are presented to you. Sometimes that comes down to a lucky dice roll, and sometimes that honestly comes down to strategic thinking, mapping, and planning. But there is a mix of both, and if you're looking for a heavy Euro-style game, this is not going to be it. This is going to be a fun, lightweight romp where you get to tell a story. And finally, let's talk about the app. The app has to be both on the bad and the good side. You are going to be working off the app, and even though there is this beautiful board with miniatures that we place up here, I do find that by midway in the game, I'm way more focused on what the app itself is telling me and less focused about the game state. Now, every now and then there will be clues, icons, and things you can discover by paying attention to the cards up here, but I do find that more often than not, the game for me reverts down to my character board, my resources and my items, and the app itself, not necessarily the main game board, which does take the focus off of one of the areas that a lot of players like, a shared experience, a shared position. Now, we usually turn our app onto airplane mode so we don't get any notifications during play, which solves the problem when it comes to being distracted during play. We certainly are not when we're playing Destinies. However, there is that context that an app may still make this wrong for you. Ultimately, my final thoughts are I love Destinies. I love the storytelling, I love the adventure, but I understand why it may or may not be right for certain fans. And I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to play. That's why here on Quack&Co, the less time you spend watching, the more time you can spend playing. And with that, we'll see you next time.